this. So how do spiders use their webs? Do you know? They use them because they're sticky, right? And they catch flies, and then it's hard for them to get out. Well, your brain is just like a spider web because all of the experiences you've had are stuck in your brain, just like the flies get stuck in a spider web. And this is called schema. Schema is the stuff in your brain. Our schema is always growing and changing. We use our schema to make sense of the world, and we can also use our schema to make connections to what we read. Schema can help us make predictions about the books we read. And a prediction is a statement about the future or a guess. So today we're going to read this book, Angels in the Dust, and I want you to look at this picture and use your schema to make some predictions about the book. So when I see the word angels, I think of somebody that watches over me. And so what do you think about when you see the word dust? What do you think about?
That the dust goes when you drive, dust gets goes.
Like blows in the wind. Yeah. Well, it also kind of reminds me of a desert, right? The desert is pretty dusty and sandy. So what else can you predict about the book based on the cover? Is there anything else that stands out?
There's two girls going somewhere.
Yeah. Maybe they're sisters, right? They could be sisters. I think that it might be based on the olden days because they're using a horse to get around instead of a car. Yep, and it looks like it might be in the desert because it looks all brown and dusty. All right, let's get started reading. Sometimes when the wind blows hard, Great Grandma Annie tells us a story from long ago about dust winds and tin cans and the day the angels danced in the sky. She always begins by telling us about the land. You can kind of see an angel in the clouds, right? Time was, children, when I was a young girl, I lived on a wheat farm as flat as a breadboard. The farm was on the Panhandle Plains of Oklahoma. That's where the land reaches out, straight as a handshake, like the end of a pot. Our little house on the farm was small and brown. It had only 2 rooms and a lean-to kitchen for Mama, Papa, Bessie, and me. I was the oldest and was named after Mama because Papa said I had Mama's eyes, as big and blue as a bowl of prairie sky. When I was 12 and Bessie was 6, our sky, so big and blue, turned dark and fierce in the middle of the day. Great dust storms came blowing. They came with the drought that took hold of the land. No rain fell for a long, long time. Mean new winds came blowing too, scorching hot and stiff as a dragon's breath. They withered our corn. They withered our wheat. They baked our land bone dry until it looked as cracked and old as Mama's white milk pitcher. Soon nothing grew in Papa's fields except great piles of dusty earth. When those dust winds blew at night, dirt came right through the cracks in our little brown house. Before bed, Bessie and I always stuffed the cracks with old newspaper scraps and hung wet sheets over the windows to keep the dirt from blowing in. Still, it came to call like an unwanted visitor. It covered our faces with sandy grit as we slept, and in the morning our pillows would be brown, except for the spots where our heads had been. Most mornings, too, we'd find the dust from the night lying sandy and dark across the kitchen table. After chores, I liked to trace my name in the dirt as if it were a chalkboard. Sometimes I helped Bessie write out her name, pretending I was a teacher. Mama always smiled when she saw me giving lessons in the dust. Annie, she said, you make me think nothing's so bad that it isn't good for something. So, were any of our predictions right that we made about the cover? back here, we learned that they were sisters, right? And this is her younger sister, Bessie. And it also says that the farm was in the plains of Oklahoma, so it actually wasn't in the desert, was it? No. And what else did we predict? Oh, it is in the olden days, right? Because back here it says that great grandma Annie tells us the story from long ago, so that means that it was based on the past, right? So they're telling a story about the history.
I feel like that would be the grandma.
Yeah, I think you're right too. She's the narrator, the one telling the story. So, what do you, now I want you to, after this page, I'll turn the page. Okay, so based on this illustration, I want you to write down one prediction about the book based on the picture. And then I'll read it to you and we'll see if you were right. Okay? So what do you think?
I think they're like leaving that town, Oklahoma, because like I think there's gonna be like a lot of dust storms and getting in their house. I think they're like moving to a different city.
Yeah, I like that.
Or town.
That's a good guess. Do you want to write it down? You can just say, I predict.
Away.
Yeah.
Can I copy that right there? So
I predict. PREDICT. There you go.
that they're moving away. I spell away.
AWAY. Yep. And I don't know, from the looks of this picture, like, I think they look kind of sad, don't
I
they?
see like something.
Oh yeah, a car. Like maybe they're gonna drive away. Yeah, and they look kind of sad, don't they? And I don't know if you noticed, but the mom is gone. See, the mom is here, but in this picture,
This picture is just
yeah.
so bad.
Yeah, so I wonder if something happened to her maybe. Okay, so now I'll read and we'll see if we were right, okay? But it was hard to find anything good about the dust that took Mama. One day in the early fall, she started coughing. Her coughing